Hello everyone, this is Bobbin Threadbare, and what you're about to listen to is the first part of an audio recording of an online RPG session featuring myself, Kalon Zombie, and the Heavenator. The system we're using is called Fellowship, a Kickstarter project which is still under construction. Kalon contributed and got early access, you see. If you'd like to learn more, you can follow the link in the description, and Kalon has a few more words to say about it in his introduction. I'm just here to explain that since recording these sessions is a low-priority project, I'm going off a call graph recording, and as a result, Kalon will be doing the robot more than a few times. Still, he's mostly clear enough to understand, and I hope you enjoy.
Okay, there we go. We are live. Hello, everyone. This is Fellowship, a cool game it's off of Apocalypse World Rules, or a Kickstarter, which has currently reached its goal, far reached its goal. So it actually reached its first stretch goal. It was at nearly 8,000 the last time I looked at it. The first stretch goal was just more art. The second stretch goal is a new type of character, and that will happen if it reaches $10,000. You still have 19 days from the time of this stream, and it will be later whenever Bob gets his recording up. The Fellowship is mostly based off of stuff like Lord of the Rings or Avatar: The Last Airbender, where a group of people team up together to defeat a person who has nearly conquered the world and is basically on the cusp of winning. And the cool thing about Fellowship is that the classes are like stuff called like the elf, the dwarf, etc., etc. The player who controls that character actually controls every aspect of that character's factions. So, for instance, if you're playing the halfling, whenever anybody has questions about the halfling, they ask you and not the person running the game. Like any questions about the halfling. As a result, you can just go wild, and like if you want your halflings to come from space and enter another dimension and travel through time and dimensions to defeat the Overlord, that's your prerogative. That's what halflings are now.
Or if you want your halflings to have killed the gods and are now brutal cannibals, that's an option.
Thank you, Dark Sun. Yeah, that is an option. And the thing is, I am playing a character called the Overlord, and it's a separate character, and he runs on different rules. He has his own stats, and it seems like a really cool game, and everybody should go throw $1. $2 will get you into the thank you section of the book when it finally gets printed. But enough about that. We're going to go and we're going to let these two chuckle fucks introduce the characters that they have chosen and a little bit about their factions, which this is the first time I'm learning about it. Like, I haven't asked these guys anything about this, so I'm just going off the seat of my pants. We'll start with Bobbin because it's alphabetical order by username.
Sure. So, my character's name is Arthur Gray. He is the Harbinger. His appearance is styled hair, a custom-tailored suit in a strange cut with which no one can identify, but which, if we were present, we would say was somewhere around the late 19th century. He has kind yet sad eyes, and he also adorns himself with a gold pocket watch and ruby-studded cufflinks. His unique agenda is "You'll get through this," which means that I must protect my allies at all costs. Harbingers also have a bonus stat called Doom. And Doom basically covers magic, fate, prophecy, and folklore roles. So it is my magic stat, essentially. And if I happen to share an ability with anybody else, their Doom stat is effectively +1. Otherwise, my Doom stat is +2. The core moves for the Harbinger are Doom and Gloom, which means that Harbingers only get 1 bond per person, and everybody else can only have one bond with me. So, keep that in mind.
Yeah.
And I also have Do Not Trifle with Wizards, which is my basically murder anybody ability. And I have to pay a price, up to me, what kind of price. And I can cast a spell using my Doom stat. On a 10 plus, I deal damage to an opponent's stat. On a 7 to 9, I simply keep them busy. On a 6 below, I still keep them busy, but I am kept busy myself. On a 12 plus, I utterly destroy my target at the cost of a little extra damage to myself. So, Kalon, just saying, but you might want to keep the personal appearances to a minimum.
Oh, trust me, I have ways of getting around that.
Yes.
Have means.
Yes.
My last core ability is Wizardry, which are basically minor magic effects which I can use for free. This includes creating a soft floating light, sending messages by mysterious means, and being able to speak, look, hear, touch, push, or grab at a remote but visible location. Now, ordinarily this cannot be shared, but my magic focus happens to be a Magitech tablet named Cindy with Remote Nanofactory accessory, and as such I can pass on my wizardry ability to other people. However, it cannot be stolen because I can recall it at any time.
All right. So it sounds like you got a bit of magic tech stuff going on there.
Yes, and in case you're wondering about that, next note is the Harbinger's nature. Now, I didn't see anything that particularly went with what I was going for, so I made something up myself.
Right.
What I made up is the Immortal Witnesses. For reasons unknown to any living soul, Harbingers are ordinary mortals who, upon their death, return to life and are immortal forever after. For the rest of their eternities, they wander between worlds, their feet guided by an unknown, unknowable force, spending a decade here, 5 centuries there. A Harbinger can never die as a result of being taken out, and if someone heals one of their stats, they may resume acting in the same scene.
All right.
For reference, normally if you get taken out, you are taken out for the rest of the scene, whether or not you die.
Yeah.
So for gear, I've got 2 units of food, 2 spare batteries, which I can use as fuel for Do Not Trifle with Wizards. I've got an electromagnetic sword, which has a spare armor use. And I have a companion, which is a mechanical dog, Rex.
Aw.
Rex the robotic dog has 2 special abilities of his own, which are useful too, which means that he's got an additional 2 batteries in his back, which I can use for more not trifling with wizards. Basically, the idea is that he's nuclear powered, and I'm using him as battery recharging.
Right.
And he's also got infinitely loyal, which means I can have 1 more bond with him than usual, which means I have +2 bonds with Rex, and I will only have 1 bond with anybody else.
Meaning you love your dog more than you love anybody else ever.
Yes.
I remember you telling me about that.
Yes. Well, Rex has been with me through countless worlds at this point, and none of you assholes have. Last thing is that I picked the Harbinger custom of Cultural Appreciation, which lets me borrow the core move of another class. So I picked Quick to Judge, which means I can get 1 bond with everybody upon first meeting them. Which I figure, helps counter the whole can only have 1 bond ever thing.
Right. Right. And the Wayne, yes, the random number generation is 2d6 plus the stat. It works pretty much exactly like Dungeon World or Apocalypse World. It's based off of the same system. And Bobbin, if you are finished, let's go to Heave and hear about some elven stuff.
Okay, so let's start talking about elves in general.
Okay.
So these elves, they come from beyond the stars. And incidentally, that means if you touch anything made by elves, you get electrocuted and you are stunned for a turn or whatever.
Right.
Are they just like customized to do that?
That's just what elves do. Anything made by an elf, if a non-elf touches it, you pass out immediately.
Okay. Hold on. Let me write that down.
Well, then I've got a question.
Because star elves.
Does that apply to harbingers? Because harbingers are also from beyond the stars, usually.
Any non-elf who uses them without proper training.
All right. Go ahead.
Anyway, yes. As everyone knows, elves are extraordinarily long-lived, so they've seen all the issues of this world and all the trials and tribulations of humans, the dwarves, the whatever other races are in this bullshit. And they got tired of all that crap. So they stopped caring about worldly affairs and became even more self-absorbed and vain.
Oh, that's. Thank you for
It
taking
basically
elves. Thank you for taking elves to the logical extreme.
no. And there's more. And they became obsessed with fashion.
Oh.
So basically, have you seen the movie Zoolander?
Oh dear.
It is a race of male models.
Oh God, I hate that movie. Oh no.
So I'm Tannis the Radiant. Here's the standard elf features.
Okay, so Tannis, Tannis.
One in, but whatever. Who cares?
Okay, well, whatever.
Oh, please. My father was named the Radiant. Call me Tannis.
All right.
No, he's so beautiful and radiant. He's always standard elf features, pointed ears, long hair, blonde, blue eyes. His clothing looks like a paint store exploded.
Yes.
And his agenda is perfect purity. That means he will fight anyone who defiles the sanctity of elven lands and works. So don't be talking mess about male models. Basically, elves thing in this game is they are very graceful and they can do magic because they're so graceful.
Okay.
Like you can camouflage yourself. You just know magic is around.
Like, do they literally just strike a pose in order to cast magic? Is it that much like Zoolander?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
You know, listen, he's perfected Magnum. Don't mess with him. And yeah, just various things like walking across tight ropes, tree branches, walking on swords that people are holding. Elves can just do that automatically without having to roll.
Okay.
What other elf features do I have? I have elven bread, 4 uses, bow, a sword, a unicorn, who I have a bond with, that bond being that he knows my dog is a secret.
Oh.
I have a hunting dog, which is one of those small shit dogs, a Pomeranian or something. Sure, let's go
Yeah,
for Pomeranian.
sure. Let's go, Pom.
He's called Cecil. And yeah, I have an elven brooch that restores 1 magic.
All right.
What else do I have here? Okay, elven customs. That's more features to finding you. So I have, whenever I do a getaway action, I can choose an extra option, no matter what I roll.
Oh, nice.
And I have, oh yeah, I'm so good at performing, i.e. modeling, that if I roll well, I form an instant bond with all the audience members I want. And I think that's all the features I have right now.
All right. Now, here's the part where we couldn't do before the game started. They've been talking about bonds and such. Basically, bonds are an extra role-playing thing, but in this they are also sort of a pseudo-stat. And these guys are going to establish some bonds right now since they've been adventuring together for a while and everything. So go ahead and tell everybody the bonds that you want to establish. And keep in mind, we do have Ape, who's going to be joining us next time. He can't come here this time, but next time, hopefully, he'll be here playing the orc.
All right, well, when you say elves are in space, like how far in space? Like colonizing the
Okay.
Colonizing the solar system, moving out into the greater galaxy, like what?
Well, we're not from this system. We're not from around here. Came a few hundred years ago now. So probably generation before last, 2 generations ago for elves.
So basically, not people don't really know where they're from. They just know that they're not from around here.
Yet normal people do not really know where we're from.
Okay.
We're not super sure where we originated either, but we know where our particular sect came from specifically.
Okay.
Because I was figuring our bond would be, you once gave me a ride between planets.
Okay,
That's how we met.
sure.
Maybe 100 years ago or so.
All right.
What did you say your name was again?
Canis, whatever.
All right. And what bond do you want to establish with Arthur Gray? I almost said Arthur the Gray. That's not the same thing at all.
No, it is not.
Let's see. So I did give him a ride, so I did meet him when I was younger. I don't know, can it just be I like his style?
Okay. It can be if you want. You can make one up. That's fine.
I am rocking this custom tailored suit and all.
As we respect a well-tailored suit.
This is not anything like your fashion, but it's nothing that you can disrespect.
All
And
right.
it's very vintage.
All right. And here's the cool thing. As the Overlord, I can force a bond onto these guys, and I am going to. Bobbin, I have fought you before, and I have left a wound on Arthur Gray that burns whenever you are in my presence. Let me write that down. Gray. All right. And Tanis, I have caused great harm to your people.
Oh, you're talking mess.
Yep. I've done great harm to the elves. They are super fucked up right now. And Arthur has some sort of weird fucked up scar that just burns whenever I'm around it. And we'll establish one with the orc when Ape gets here. So, now that we are done with all that, we're going to start the session. And it begins with you all having pretty much just officially formed the Fellowship after, learning that some fucking asshole is just causing all sorts of harm to basically the entire, kingdom, continent, whatever. And you've decided, well, that can't happen. We can't go around just being a fucking asshole like that. So you all got together and said, we need to stop this dude before he gets too powerful. And basically what's been going on is he has been marching his armies across this entire continent, and if they don't follow his rule, if they don't just immediately bow down and say, yes, we will follow the Overlord, they are either forcefully assimilated, or if they are proven to be too rambunctious, in the case of the elves, are completely and totally destroyed. However, the elves, for the most part, managed to salvage a bit of that, and they are still around. They're just nowhere near as powerful as they used to be. And so you've come to a rather small town, downtrodden, and it looks like it was recently assimilated. Like, they're the kind of people who saw the army coming and just gave up. They're like, okay, whatever, we'll follow the Overlord's rule. And life under the Overlord, if you sort of immediately give up, isn't great, but it's not as bad as it certainly could be. For instance, only half your population is enslaved, no women or children, and the other half are either allowed to live free or they are just shipped off somewhere, never to be seen again. Nobody really knows what happens to the...
So that's only enslaving half of the adult male populace, because half the village would have to include at least some of the women and children.
Right. They're only... Well, yes, half the male populace is enslaved. The other half are free to live, but everybody, woman, child, male, whatever, some of them are just shipped off to parts unknown, and they have no idea what goes on there. Like, they just go away and never come back. There's not been a single instance of somebody coming back. And this town is situated near a large forest. And
Coniferous or deciduous?
which one of...
Just trying to picture this, you know?
Yeah.
Wait, coniferous? That means the trees eat meat?
I lost my train of thought. Thanks, Bobbin.
Yeah, but seriously, please answer my question.
Which one of those is like this,
Really?
like the stereotypical big
Come on.
leafy trees? Fucking Christ, I don't.
Deciduous trees have leaves. Coniferous trees have needles.
Deciduous.
Okay.
Yes. All right. Thank you.
And what time of year is it?
Old growth, new growth,
we'll say
softwood, hardwood.
When was the most recent forest fire?
we'll say it's late summer, early fall, and that's the last question. I'm not answering the fucking question. God damn it. But it's late summer, early fall. Like, some of the trees that like to turn early are turning early, but for the most part, it's still green.
Well, basically, it looks outside the way it does today because this is early fall.
Yeah, essentially. So the God, now I forget what I was going. Lost my train of thought. Oh, okay, you're at the
We
town.
went in.
It's a small town. They just sort of gave up, and you can see the overlord's forces just walking around. It seems that are half human and half of this weird man beast sort of species, which is
Man, bear, pig?
yes, exactly. No, not exactly that. It sort of seems a mix between elf and orc and human, just all three of them, and people try to stay away from them, like even more so than the humans. Like if they see a human, they'll just move out of the way. If they see one of these things coming along, they will basically try to get out of the, like, leave the entire street, basically. And as you've been walking around, you've been hearing them talk about the forced operation and how well it's going. So what do you want to do?
Well, first of all, I'd like to know which threats of the world you've taken.
Oh, yes.
Because, yeah, according to that move, you do have to inform us which ways in which you are unstoppable.
Yes, I apologize. I forgot completely about that. I chose invincible, which means I am difficult to harm, so anyone trying to hurt me is in despair. Unstoppable, anyone trying to keep me busy is in despair. And one general.
General what? Just a name, I mean.
A
I'm
name?
not making a pun.
Yes.
What I just said.
Oh god, I thought. Oh, I wrote it down on the other one that I. General Enthar, E-N apostrophe T-H-A-R.
And he is one of these Urukai?
No, he's actually human. The Urukai seem to be mostly like foot soldiers. They don't seem too they're more intelligent than you would say, like not particularly this setting, because we have no idea what direction Ape's going to go with the orc. But if we're going with Lord of the Rings as a baseline for orcs, they are smarter than that, but not as smart as humans.
So Urukai.
Oh, really? I thought Urukai were just based. I don't know too much about Lord of the Rings orcs. So, yes, essentially.
And Mr. spending a whole bunch of time on Twitter yesterday talking about the first stage.
Well, that's because the first age is way cooler than the third age.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
The first date's mortal. Nice.
Well, it was. Anyway, so yes, General Enthar, he doesn't seem to be around, but but this particular collection of soldiers seem to be under his command, but he's not here himself apparently. So some sort of commander or lieutenant directly under him is running the show here.
Well, as you might imagine.
Yeah.
So, actually, I had a bit of a suggestion, actually.
Yes.
Since you have gone with invincible, and since we have established that space travel is, a fact in this setting,
Right.
I was thinking, what if the Overlord were actually a different Harbinger?
Actually, I was going to go along with that. I had actually planned that before you said anything. Unless you had said you were the only Harbinger in the world, in which case I would have done a hasty rewrite as you were saying things. But no, the plan was he was going to be a different Harbinger.
Well, the thing about Harbingers is that, like I said, they are sort of brought to new planets by an unknowable force. But that force never actually tells them to do anything. And the time limit is essentially arbitrary. So each individual can essentially do whatever he or she wants to while on that planet. And that includes actually leaving the planet and going off into space. And at this point, the Skype call dropped. So I figure this is as good a point as any to cut the segment. I'll see you next time for part 2.